The uneasy encounter. The corridor of the alien starship was silent, only the hum of engines breaking the stillness. The tall alien officer, her silver uniform shining faintly under the lights, walked with her usual grace. Her people were proud. Known across the galaxy for discipline and strength, she held her head high, her back straight, every step filled with authority. But that day something felt different. She felt eyes on her back, a gaze that pierced through the silence. At first she ignored it, telling herself it was only her imagination, yet the feeling grew stronger. Like a shadow pressing against her skin, she slowed her steps, her long fingers brushing the cold wall, and then she turned. A human stood there, silent, calm, watching her. His dark eyes did not move away when hers locked onto his. He was not armed, not threatening, yet his gaze carried a strange weight. It was not the look of fear that most aliens expected from humans. It was not even defiance, it was something deeper. "Why?" she demanded, her voice sharp but low. "Why do you stare at me so boldly?" The human did not flinch. His voice was quiet but steady. "Because you remind me of someone I once knew." Her eyes narrowed. Her kind did not tolerate riddles. They believed in power and direct answers. Yet his words carried a tone that unsettled her. Who could she possibly remind him of? She was an officer of the Empire, daughter of warriors, bearer of a proud name. "You know nothing of me," she said coldly. "Humans were never part of my life, never part of my world." The human tilted his head, a faint shadow of a smile touching his lips. "Not part of your world," he said, "but part of your past." Her chest tightened for a moment, a sharp memory flashed in her mind. A battlefield from years ago, fire in the skies, screams echoing through broken metal. She forced the thought away. It was impossible. Humans were not there, they could not have been there. "Enough," she hissed, taking a step closer. Her height towered over him, her golden eyes burning with suspicion. "You will answer clearly, human. Who told you to speak this way? Who gave you such lies?" He did not step back. His calmness only fueled her unease. "No one told me," he said. "I was there." Her breath caught in her throat. She felt the air turn colder. For a second she could not speak. Her claws flexed at her side, her instincts screaming to silence him. Yet there was no tremor in his voice, no sign of falsehood. His eyes were steady, as if he carried the truth in his very bones. "You expect me to believe this," she said finally, her tone softer but more dangerous. "That you, a human, stood in battles my people never spoke of. That you saw things only we witnessed." The human's gaze did not waver. "I don't expect you to believe," he replied. "I only expect you to listen." Something inside her shifted. She hated the feeling. The officer who feared nothing, now unsettled by a single human gaze. His words clung to her mind like hooks. How could he know? How could he even guess? She thought of the scar on her back, hidden under her uniform. A scar only one man had seen, the father she had lost long ago. "Who are you?" she whispered. More to herself than to him. Her voice was no longer sharp, but laced with confusion. The human finally blinked. His voice low, almost like a secret. "Someone who remembers what others want forgotten." Her throat tightened. Her world of discipline and control cracked for a moment. She felt the stares of crew members around them, but their faces blurred. The only thing that mattered was the human in front of her. His eyes, his voice, his strange claim. Without another word, she seized his arm and pulled him away from the corridor. Her people would not see her weakness, they would not see her doubts. She dragged him into a private chamber, the door sliding shut behind them. Inside the dim room, she turned sharply. Her voice was a blade. "You will tell me everything." Now the human simply nodded. "I will," he said, "but you may not like the answers." For the first time in years, the proud alien officer felt something she thought long gone: fear. And beneath that fear, a dangerous curiosity that refused to let go. The hidden memory. The chamber's walls glowed with a faint blue light, sealing out the noise of the corridor. The alien officer stood tall, her golden eyes sharp, yet inside her chest her heart pounded like a drum. The human sat calmly on the single metal chair, his hands folded on his knees. He looked more like a quiet observer than a prisoner. "Speak," she ordered, her voice echoing in the still room. "You said you were there, prove it." The human leaned forward. His tone was steady, almost too calm. "I remember the fires of the fortress on Vera 9, he said. The smoke rose into the red sky, and your people were retreating through the canyon. You carried a wounded child. Though no one else dared to stop for her, her body stiffened. The memory struck her like a blade. She had carried that child. A girl with silver skin and wide, terrified eyes. A child who had died minutes later. She had buried the girl herself beneath a broken pillar. That moment was her secret, a shameful weakness. How could a human know it? Her voice trembled for the first time in years. You speak lies, no record of that battle exists. Not even in the royal archives. The human tilted his head. His eyes caught the dim light. Maybe your archives hide the truth. Maybe your empire wanted you to forget, but I was there watching. Unseen, she slammed her clawed hand against the table, the sound echoing like thunder. Impossible. Humans had no ships then. No fleets. You were still bound to your small world. The human's lips curved in a faint smile. That is what they want you to believe. Her heart burned with anger and doubt. She circled him slowly, her boots tapping the floor with each step. Her people were taught to fear nothing, to dismiss human strength as primitive. Yet this one man's words shook her more than any weapon. Tell me then, she said, her tone sharper. What else do you claim to know of me? He looked at her straight, unblinking. I know of the scar across your back, he said quietly. The one your father tried to heal but could not. The one you still hide even now. Her breath caught. Her uniform suddenly felt heavier. The scar, thin, jagged, running from her shoulder blade to her hip, was a mark no outsider had ever seen. Only her father, before his death, had known. Even her closest soldiers believed it was gone. She stepped closer, fury trembling in her veins. If you speak truth, then tell me his last words. The human's eyes softened. His voice dropped to a whisper. He told you never to bow, never to lower your head, even if the stars themselves fell. Her knees almost gave way. She pressed her hand against the cold wall. Her father's final words, spoken in a ruined chamber lit by fire, words she had never repeated aloud for the first time. She looked at the human not as a trespasser, but as a mystery too large to ignore. How? She whispered, her throat dry. How could you know this? Who are you really? The human did not answer at once. He closed his eyes for a moment as if the memories hurt when he spoke. His voice carried both sorrow and warning. I am someone who remembers, because the galaxy has chosen to forget, and if you do not listen, your people will repeat their fall. Her claws curled into her palms. Anger clashed with a deep unease. She wanted to deny him, to call him a liar, but every word felt like truth carved from stone. You dare suggest my empire will fall, she growled. We rule half the stars. Our fleets stretch across galaxies. Our enemies bow or burn. The human's eyes opened, cold and steady. So did others before you, and yet they burned. Too, the silence between them grew heavy. She stared at him, her pride fighting against the small voice in her mind that whispered he was right. His presence was not just unsettling, it was dangerous, not because of strength, but because of knowledge. She took a slow breath, her pride forcing her tone back into command. If what you say is true, then you will prove it. You will give me more than shadows and whispers. The human nodded once. I will, he said, but you must be ready. The truth is not kind. She hated the way her pulse quickened at his words, hated the way fear crawled beneath her armor. Yet she also knew this was no ordinary man. This human carried a piece of her past, a piece of her future for the first time in years. The officer felt trapped between duty and curiosity, between silencing him to protect her empire, or listening and risking her world unraveling. As she turned away, her golden eyes burning, she realized one thing with chilling clarity. The human was no spy, no ordinary soldier. He was something far more dangerous, a witness. The forbidden truth. The chamber air felt heavy, as if the walls themselves leaned closer to hear their words. The alien officer stood frozen for a moment, her golden eyes locked on the human. Her claws twitched at her side, torn between silencing him forever or demanding more. The human's calmness only deepened the storm inside her. He had spoken truths no outsider could know, truths buried under layers of empire secrecy. Now if he dared to say more, he might tear open wounds her people swore never to reveal. You hold dangerous knowledge, she hissed, her voice sharp as steel. Knowledge that could cost you your life. Speak carefully, human. The man did not flinch. His eyes were steady, almost sorrowful. I speak because silence is worse, he said. I speak because history hidden too long is ready to repeat. She slammed her fist against the wall. the sound ringing like a gong. Do not speak to me in riddles. Tell me what you claim to know. The human leaned forward slightly, his tone dropping low, almost like a confession. Your empire believes it rose by strength alone. But it was built upon ashes, ashes of those who fought before you. They were greater, more powerful, and still. They fell. Her jaw tightened. She hated the taste of his words, hated the seed of doubt growing inside her mind. You lie, she said sharply. No power greater than the Empire has ever ruled these stars. He shook his head slowly. Not ruled, he said, but protected. And when they were betrayed, the galaxy burned. Her breath caught. The word betrayed echoed in her chest like thunder. Her father's warnings, his dying words, his hidden fear, suddenly they felt sharper, clearer. She stepped closer, her voice low. What do you mean, betrayed? The human's eyes darkened. Your people were not the only ones to survive that war, he said. Others lived, scattered, broken, and they remember. They wait in the dark. Waiting to return, her body stiffened. For years, her empire had spoken of the silent war. A nameless conflict erased from archives. Those who asked too many questions disappeared. She herself had learned to bury her doubts. But this man's words threatened to bring all of them crashing back. You expect me to believe survivors hide in shadows, she said, her tone sharp but uneven. That they wait after centuries to rise again. The human's voice did not tremble. I don't expect belief. I expect preparation. Because when they come, they will not only seek vengeance, they will seek you. She froze. Her chest tightened. Me, she whispered. Yes, the human said softly. Because you carry the bloodline of the one who betrayed them. Her world tilted. The chamber spun for a moment. Her father's face burned in her memory. His eyes filled with sorrow on the night he died. Had he known? Had he carried the shame of betrayal? Her voice broke into a whisper. No. He was loyal to the Empire. Loyal to the stars. The human's voice was quiet, yet merciless. Loyalty is not always truth. He chose survival, and survival has a price. Her claws dug into her palms. She wanted to scream, to strike him down, yet the fear inside her was stronger than her rage. Every word he spoke felt like poison, but poison she could not spit out. You dare accuse my blood? She growled, though her voice shook. You dare speak of betrayal without proof. The human's hand slowly reached into his uniform. She tensed, ready to strike, but instead of a weapon, he placed a small metallic shard on the table. The shard glowed faintly, etched with markings older than her empire. Her eyes widened. She recognized the symbols. They belonged to the precursor tongue, a language banned by decree. Where did you get this? She demanded, her voice breaking. The human's answer was simple. From the ruins where your father stood. Her hands trembled as she reached for the shard. The moment her claws brushed its surface, images flared in her mind. Fire, shadows, voices crying betrayal, and through it all a single figure standing tall. Her father holding the same shard, his face carved with sorrow. She staggered back, her breath ragged. The human's voice cut through the storm in her head. Now you understand, he said quietly. The truth your empire hides is not for their survival. It is for yours. Her chest heaved. Her world of pride and certainty cracked like glass. For the first time in her life, she did not know what to believe. She turned on him, her golden eyes blazing. Why are you telling me this? What do humans gain from such poison? The man's answer was both simple and terrifying. Because I was sent to warn you, he said, and because when the dark returns, humanity will not stand aside. The silence that followed was heavier than steel. The alien officer realized she was caught in a storm larger than her empire, and the one who stood before her, the quiet human, was not a spy, not a liar, but a messenger of truths her people had buried, and perhaps a warning of doom yet to come. The alliance of shadows. The chamber lights flickered as if even the ship felt the weight of the truth. The alien officer held the glowing shard tightly in her claws. Her chest heaved with sharp breaths. The images it had shown refused to fade. Her father's face. The fire, the betrayal whispered in shadows. She turned back to the human, her golden eyes filled with fury and fear. You expect me to trust you, she hissed. After accusing my blood, after tearing open ghosts of the past, the human's face did not change. Calm as stone, I don't need your trust, he said. I need your choice. Either you help me stop what is coming or you stand aside. and watch your empire fall." Her claws scraped the table. The arrogance of this human burned her pride. Yet deep inside she knew his words were more than arrogance. They were truth sharpened like a blade. "You speak of enemies in the dark," she said, her tone steady though her voice trembled beneath. "You speak of survival, of betrayal, but why me? Why not my emperor? Why not my council?" The human's gaze locked onto hers, his voice quiet but powerful. "Because they will not listen, they are blind with pride. But you have already seen the cracks. You feel the weight your empire tries to hide." She hated how his words pierced her. Because they were true, in secret moments she had doubted. In her dreams she had heard echoes of screams long buried. Now a human stranger gave them form. "Why would humanity care?" she asked bitterly. "What is it to you if my empire burns?" The human leaned closer, his eyes cold. "Because when empires burn, the galaxy follows, and humanity refuses to let the galaxy burn again." For a moment, silence swallowed them both. Then the ship trembled, a deep alarm echoing through the corridors. Red lights flared to life, the officer's eyes widened. She rushed to the console by the wall, tapping commands with urgent claws. "Enemy breach detected," the ship's voice rang. "Sector 12. Unknown vessel approaching." Her throat tightened. Unknown vessel. That meant not pirates, not rebels, something else. She spun to the human, suspicion flashing in her eyes. "Did you bring them here? Did you lead them to us?" But the man shook his head, his voice sharper now. "No, this is them. The shadows I warned you of." Her chest froze. The timing was too perfect, too cruel. Yet as she stared at the readings on the console, she saw the signature of the ship. It bore no known design, no code, only a trail of static, as if space itself had vomited out a ghost. Her mind raced. Duty screamed at her to sound the command, to capture the human. But another voice whispered, if he was right, if these were the shadows of the past, then her empire had no idea what storm was at their doors. "Give me proof," she demanded. "Show me I should not destroy you where you stand." The human reached into his jacket once more, this time pulling out a small cube. He placed it on the table, and with a tap the cube lit up. A hologram spread across the chamber. A fleet. Hundreds of ships, black as the void. Their designs twisted, alien, yet marked with the same precursor symbols etched on the shard. Her blood chilled. The sight felt like staring into death itself. "This is their fleet," the human said. "Scattered now, hidden but gathering. Every empire that ignores them will be the first to fall." Her claws gripped the table until the metal bent. For the first time in her life, she felt small. The empire she served, the fleets she commanded, seemed fragile compared to the storm rising beyond the stars. The alarm echoed louder. The walls shook again. A voice on the intercom screamed, "Unknown vessel has breached outer defenses, weapons failing. Requesting orders." She turned to the human, her pride breaking like glass. "If this is true," she whispered, "then what do you want from me?" The human's answer was simple, steady. "Stand with us, share what you know. Let humanity and your kind fight together, or you will face the shadows alone." Her chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. She wanted to deny him, to cling to pride, but the ship's shaking, the fear in her crew's voices, the visions from the shard, they crushed her resistance. For a long moment she stared into his eyes, searching for weakness, searching for deceit, but she found only a dangerous resolve. Finally she spoke, her voice low but clear. "If we fight together and you betray me, I will end you myself." The human nodded once, his lips curving into the faintest shadow of a smile. "Then we understand each other." The chamber shook again. Louder this time, dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the roar of weapons fire echoed through the hull. The officer turned sharply, activating her comms. "All forces, prepare for boarding action," she commanded. Her voice was steady, strong, but her eyes betrayed the storm inside. Beside her, the human rose from his chair, his shadow long against the flickering light. For the first time, they stood not as enemies, but as something far more dangerous. An alliance born in shadows, forged by truth and tested by fire. The final answer. The ship shook like a beast under attack. Red lights washed the corridors. Alarms screamed across the decks. The alien officer stood firm, her golden eyes burning as she gave commands. Her crew scrambled, shouting reports of weapons failing, shields collapsing. The human stood beside her now, no longer a silent observer but a figure ready for battle. His calmness in the chaos unsettled her soldiers. Yet none dared question, for something about him radiated authority. "Boarding parties detected," a voice cried through the comms. "Unknown life forms breaching hull at Section 9. The officer gritted her teeth. Her claws tightened on the shard hidden in her belt. She turned to the human, her voice sharp. "If these are the shadows you warned of, then show me how to fight them." He nodded, pulling a device from his uniform, a black cylinder. Humming with quiet energy, her soldiers eyed it with suspicion. But she raised a hand, stopping their questions. "What is that?" she demanded. "Not a weapon," the human replied, his eyes hard. "A key. It will shield your crew for a time, but only if you let me activate it." Her pride screamed not to trust him, yet the ship trembled again, and screams echoed through the comms. Soldiers cut down by something unseen. She gave a sharp nod. "Do it." The human pressed the cylinder. A wave of pale light spread through the corridors. Her crew gasped as their displays stabilized, their weapons locking onto the intruders with clarity. Through the cameras she saw them, the shadows, black forms twisted and unnatural, moving like smoke given life. Their bodies shimmered with symbols from the shard. Her chest grew tight. The ghosts of the past were real. Her soldiers opened fire. The ship shook with the storm of battle. And for the first time the invaders staggered. The officer's voice rang strong. "Hold your ground, push them back." Beside her, the human spoke quietly. "This will not hold forever. They are testing you. They want to see if you will break like before." She turned to him, her fury clashing with fear. "And if I do not break, then you become more dangerous than they expected," he said simply. Her heart thundered. She realized now the true meaning of his gaze. The weight in his eyes when she first caught him staring. He had not looked at her with arrogance or desire. He had looked at her with recognition. With warning, the doors burst open. 3 shadow forms slipped inside. Her guards fired instantly. Their weapons scorched the air, but the creatures moved unnaturally fast. Twisting through bullets like smoke, the officer drew her blade. Its edge glowing white, she struck one down, the metal cutting through the black haze. The creature screamed, a sound that rattled the bones, and then melted into ash, but another leapt forward, claws reaching for her throat, until the human stepped between them. A flash of light erupted from his hand, burning the creature into nothing. Her eyes widened. Her crew froze. Humanity was not supposed to wield such power. "What are you?" she breathed, almost against her will. The human's face was shadowed, his voice steady. "Someone sent to make sure history does not repeat. Someone sent to make sure you survive." Her chest tightened. His eyes were not cold now. They were filled with something else, something almost protective. The last shadow fell under her blade, silence rushing back into the chamber. Only the hum of the engines remained. Her crew looked to her, waiting for orders. Her pride fought to rise to declare him a threat. But her heart, shaken and raw, knew the truth. She stepped closer, her voice low but sharp. "From the first moment you stared at my back. You refused to look away. Tell me now why." The human met her gaze. His words cut deeper than any blade. "Because I carry the memory of your people's fall, and I swore I would never let it happen again. I watched you once from the shadows and failed. I will not fail this time." Her chest trembled. The room around her blurred. For years she had been proud, untouchable, but now she stood at the edge of something greater. An alliance born not from trust but from necessity, from survival. Slowly she nodded, her golden eyes steady. "Then from this day your fate is tied to mine," she said, her voice carrying both command and promise. "If you betray me, I will end you. But if you keep your vow, then together, we will make the shadows fear us." The human bowed his head slightly, a rare smile crossing his face. "That is all I ever wanted." Outside, the ship roared with battle, but inside, a different war had ended. 2 enemies had become something more dangerous. Their alliance was not of light, but of shadows bound by secrets, scars, and the promise of vengeance. And in the depths of space the unseen fleet stirred, for the shadows had felt it too, the rise of a new bond, the kind that could change the fate of galaxies.